Hello everyone, my name is Cassandra Nicole B. Lucena, grade 6, St. Nicholas. So my performance task for today is solutions, suspensions, and colloids. But before I start, let me introduce the materials that I need for my science experiments. First, I need a jar. I don't have a glasses, so I can use a jar. I have a 1 spoon of paper, I have a 1 spoon of sugar, I have a 1 spoon of soil. Lastly, I have a 1 spoon of milk powder. I have a water, 2 spoons, and flashlight. First, I will put a water in the jar one by one. After that, I will put a 1 spoon of pieces of paper in the first jar. In the second jar, I will put a 1 spoon of sugar. In the third jar, I will put a 1 spoon of soil. Lastly, I will put a 1 spoon of milk powder in the fourth jar. Now, I will stir it all, one by one, using a spoon. Now, as I can see in the first jar, there are solid particles that floating in the top of the water and the under of the water. There are more solid particles that did not dissolve in the water, and that is called a heterogeneous mixtures. Now, the solid particles still floating and they were settled down in the water. Look, as you can see, there are more solid particles that floating at the bottom of the water, and there are more solid particles in the under of the water. And this is called a suspension. Now, what is the solute of this first jar? Yes, the paper did not dissolve in the water. What is the solvent? Yes, the water. Now, as I can see in the second jar, there is no more solid particles at the bottom of the water and the under of the water, and that is called a homogeneous mixture. Now, what is the solute of the second jar? Yes, this is called a sugar dissolves in the water, and the water is the solvent. So what is this? Yes, a solution. Now, in the third jar, as you can see, there are more solid particles that floating at the bottom of the water, and there are more solid particles under the water, and this is called a heterogeneous mixtures. Now, what is the solute of these heterogeneous mixtures? Yes, the soil did not dissolve in the water. And what is the solvent? Yes, the water. So what is this? Yes, you are correct. This is called a suspension. Now, in the last jar, I see that the milk powder dissolves in the water, and this is called a homogeneous mixtures. But it's not actually a homogeneous mixtures because there are more particles that floating at the bottom of the water, and that is called a heterogeneous mixtures. So, what is the solute of the last jar? Yes, the solute of the last jar is the milk powder dissolved in the water, and there are more solid particles that did not dissolve in the water, and that is called a heterogeneous mixtures. So what is this? Yes, this is called a colloids. So now I will use a flashlight to see if the solid particles will scatter or did not scatter. Now, as I can see, in the first jar, the light did not scatter, and that is called a heterogeneous mixtures or non-uniform. Now, what is the name of the first jar? Yes, this is called a suspension. Because the light penetrates in the water, and that is called a suspensions. Now, in the second jar, as I said, the sugar dissolves in the water, and the light penetrates in the water, and that is called a homogeneous mixtures or a solution. Now, as I can say, the solution is the sugar dissolves in the water, and we can only see is the water. So that is called a solution. Now, in the third jar, I can see that the light did not pass through or does not pass through, and that is called a heterogeneous mixtures or a suspensions. Now, in the last one, now as I can see, the light does not penetrate in the water, or that is called a heterogeneous mixtures or a colloids. So as I can say, the heterogeneous mixtures is the solid figure did not melt in the water. That's all for today. I will say goodbye.